Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I'm here with my Marie's Masters watercolors and my Masters Touch watercolor paper. This is a cellulose paper, and I wanted to make a abstract video with watercolor, but one of my favorite things I really love to do is to just mix any old colors. And you always hear people talk about how they don't want to get mud. And sometimes, if you're embracing the mud, you can find some really, really gorgeous color combinations. And so I wanted to demonstrate that a little bit today. And, I'm just sitting here having a lot of fun painting, but I wanted to show you some of the things you can do by just mixing your colors with abandon, just like it says in the title. And I thought a good way to illustrate that would be to basically go through my whole entire palette and mix all my colors in a single puddle. And so I'm going through with my small quill brush. I'm rinsing in between each color I grab, but I'm not adding a bunch of extra water to my palette. I'm blotting my brush fairly well, grabbing a new color and mixing it with whatever is left over in the tray. And this is going to do a couple of different things. If you're not comfortable mixing color, and there's a lot of people who aren't, I've just always kind of jumped in because I like to see what I get and just play around, but it'll help you if you're not comfortable. It'll help you to just kind of see what your colors will do when they're mixing with each other. And it's particularly helpful when you're working with different watercolor palettes because colors have different pigments. So a Payne's gray of one brand isn't going to be necessarily the exact same color as a Payne's gray in another brand. And so mixing colors this way can also help you get to know your palette very well and what colors you really like to see blended together. And even though I'm getting a really wide variety of colors here, and some of them you may describe as a little bit muddy, but the one nice thing is all of them go together because all of them have the other colors. And so I started off with my Indian red up there in the top left-hand corner, but every single color mix after that has a little bit of everything in it as we go forward. And you can see some really beautiful hues of colors on that paper. And I'm not, considering composition or anything here, but just playing around, like mixing the oranges and the blues, which orange and blues are complementary colors, and so you mix them together, you get a nice, beautiful brown like you just saw me put on the paper. And then adding yellow, I get this really nice sort of olive green color, and you can just really have fun mixing. And if you kind of sit down with that task in mind, then you don't have to really worry about what the outcome is at all. You're just really experimenting with your colors and seeing what works and what doesn't work and what you like and don't like. And it's kind of funny because I'm using all of the colors in my palette here pretty much. I might have missed a couple, but you know, it works even with so many different colors on that paper. So I let this background layer dry, and I'm going back in with that second mixture. I mixed everything and added, I think, some ultramarine blue, and it made this really pretty kind of blue-gray color. So I'm just sort of loosely following along some of my little watercolor shapes and making this sort of zigzag pattern on a glaze layer. And so because the layer underneath is totally dry, it's just adding a nice flat layer on top. And I'm starting to think of what I want to do, and I'm still going in the same color. So I had cleaned up my palette and I added a little bit of that Indian red again, and I'm just doing some simple circles on here. And it's the color I started with, so I figured I might as well maybe end with that color, although I did get some blue after this again to add some blue back in. But I just really loved how this was. It was so kind of toned down and not your usual bright in your face colors, but I really loved those blends that I was able to get. And I've been doing some different things with color mixing and trying to learn a bit more about my pigments because I'm kind of entering that part of my journey now, I guess. And I am just trying to learn and see what works together, what doesn't. And really, I honestly think that anything can work together if you're mixing. I mean, it might not be the color you're looking for when you mix, but I think any color can be really beautiful when you mix it and you're using it where you want to use it, if that makes sense to you. So I'm adding the last of my circles in here, and then I am going to be doing some doodles on top with my markers, but I'm trying to add a little bit of extra doodles with my watercolor too. So I had a little bit of blue left over in my palette, and so I'm adding some simple lines just to get some texture on here. I had done so many different blobs in the background, and so I wanted to just add some texture and some interest up front to kind of bring everything together. And I'm gravitating back to that Indian red and the blues. And so I'm adding in just some different marks with my paintbrush, experimenting with the marks that I can get. And really this whole painting was done with one paintbrush, which I really like to do anyway. And then last but not least, I'm going in with my gold. And I really love the Marie's Masters gold color. It really is nice and sparkly on the page, and it's very comparable to the gold colors in the Mei Liang palette and also my Mozart Kohlrabi. So I'm taking the tape off, one of my favorite parts of the process, and I love these little acrylic clipboards that I got to do this. It was a really nice buy because it helps me kind of tape down my paper, but I can set it aside and start something else if I want to. I had been used to taping papers down to my table, but this is a much better system, I think. So I got the navy blue Posca pen and also the kind of off-white. I think it's like a cream color. Let me check. I have my little caddy next to me. It's ivory. So ivory and navy blue is what I used for this. And I'm just adding some little marks and doodles around here. One thing I'm missing is darks. And I think this was the thing that I did that kind of brought everything together. So I really liked those kind of zigzaggy lines in the background that I did with that sort of grayish wash. And so I wanted to outline that and have something that was kind of traveling throughout the painting. And I thought that that really helped to kind of unite everything and also add contrast to the paper and a little bit of depth. And almost, just by outlining that shape, it just really made it almost look 3D, which I really liked. But now I'm going to add that ivory, and I think that that really helped kind of finish everything off. But you know me, I love adding lots of different marks and everything. So I actually ended up doing more doodles on this than I even planned, but it was sort of one of those surprises. It was starting out as kind of a color mixing video and just, experimenting with my palette, and then turned into something that I really enjoyed and a nice little project. And so I'm kind of finding the lighter blobby marks, and I'm adding some of those ivory dots in them, and I think that kind of helps with just adding another layer of pattern and texture to the page and a little bit more dimension to it. But I think my favorite mark that I put on this was that dark blue on that sort of random shape in the background. I think that that really brought everything together. And then now I'm bringing out my gold paint marker and adding some more dots that will be sparkly, even though I already have gold on it from the palette. You can't have enough gold. Never. Never have enough. So those are kind of my finishing touches for this painting today. And I'm just sort of looking it over, making sure that there's nothing else I want to add, but I had kind of filled it up with the doodles and I was really happy with how it turned out and I loved the colors. And so here is the close-up of everything, and you can see all the mixtures and all those beautiful neutrals that you can get just by mixing colors in your palette. So I hope this gave you some ideas and that you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep creating.